Caitlin Clark isn't just playing well, she's redefining the game. The league? Well, it looks like it's becoming hers.
Clark off the screen, finds some space, and delivers! It's a triple for Caitlin Clark.
Yesterday's game in Indianapolis was proof of that. Clark came back from the Olympic break. She was shot out of a cannon. 29 points, 10 assists, 5 rebounds. That's not just an impressive stat line, it's a statement of dominance. And you know what's even crazier? This was the Fever's third win against the Mercury this season. Something that had never happened in franchise history. Clark isn't just winning games, she's rewriting Fever history. But what really shows that the league is becoming hers is what she said after the game.
One of our biggest wins of the season so far was our first win at Phoenix. I think that really kind of boosted us into how we're playing basketball right now.
It seems like Clark isn't just adapting to the WNBA, she's making the WNBA adapt to her. Now, don't think it was always like this. Caitlin Clark's journey in the WNBA was far from a walk in the park. Remember the start of the season? Yeah, it wasn't easy at all. Clark entered the league as the #1 draft pick, carrying huge expectations on her shoulders. And, like many rookies, she had to face the harsh reality of the WNBA. The defenses were tougher, the game more physical, and there were veterans ready to test her limits on every play. In the first few weeks, we saw Clark struggling to find her rhythm. She made mistakes, turned the ball over more than she'd like, and sometimes looked a bit lost on the court. But here's the thing, Clark isn't the type to give up easily. Every challenge, every error, every criticism, she turned it all into fuel. And then came that first win against the Phoenix Mercury. It was like a switch had been flipped. Suddenly, the Clark who dominated college courts was back, but now with the experience and maturity of a pro player. Since then, it's been a meteoric rise. She's breaking records, leading her team, and making plays that leave even the veterans in awe. And the most incredible thing, she's doing all this with a smile on her face, like she's having more fun than ever. It's this combination of raw talent, relentless work ethic, and pure joy of playing that's transforming Clark into a WNBA superstar. But let's dive deep into this insane game that Caitlin just had. 29 points, 10 assists, and 5 rebounds is no joke. The numbers, as impressive as they are, don't tell the whole story. Let's start with the shooting. Clark hit 8 of 16 field goals, including 4 of 11 from 3-point range. That's 50% efficiency from the field. In a WNBA game against one of the league's best defenses, it's the kind of performance you expect from a veteran, not a rookie in her first season. But what really impressed me were the 10 assists. This shows that Clark isn't just a scoring machine. She's elevating the entire team's game. Look at this. She was directly responsible for almost half of the Fever's points that night. Another important detail, Clark went to the free throw line 10 times and made 9. This shows two things. First, she's being aggressive, forcing the defense to commit fouls. Second, she's got nerves of steel. Free throws are as much about technique as they are about mentality, and Clark dominates both. But what really makes this game special is the context. This was the first game after the Olympic break. Many players come back rusty after a break like this. Clark, she came back in peak form, and we can't ignore who she did this against. The Phoenix Mercury isn't just any team. In the end, what we saw was a performance that makes us want to watch every Fever game, and that makes us think about the Indiana Fever in the playoffs. A few months ago, that seemed like a distant dream. Now, it's more than a real possibility. Currently, the Fever are in 7th place in the standings. That's already a huge improvement from last season when they finished last. But with Clark playing at this level, the chances of making the playoffs are almost confirmed. Let's look at the numbers. The Fever have a favorable schedule ahead, with several games against teams below them in the standings. If they keep playing like this, especially with Clark leading, they have a good chance of climbing even higher in the table. But it's not just about the numbers, it's about the winning mentality that Clark has brought to the team. Look at the confidence the Fever are playing with now. They're not just competing, they're expecting to win every game. Coach Christie Sides needs to improve some things, especially on defense. There were moments in the game against the Mercury where the Fever seemed to lose focus. That can't happen in the playoffs, where every possession is crucial. And we can't forget about Kelsey Mitchell. She also came back strong after the break, scoring 28 points in the last game. With Clark and Mitchell forming a dynamic duo, the Fever have one of the most dangerous backcourts in the league. Now imagine the Fever in the playoffs. With Clark playing like this, they could surprise any team. She has that rare quality of elevating her game in the most important moments. In a playoff scenario where the pressure is at its peak, Clark could be the difference between an early elimination and a surprising title run. And it's not just about this season. What Clark is doing now is building the foundation for the future. She's changing the Fever's culture, transforming them from underdogs into legitimate contenders. This will attract more talent to the team, create more fan interest, and potentially start an era of success for the franchise. At the end of the day, the Fever's playoff prospects are brighter than they've ever been. And all of this thanks to a rookie who's playing like a veteran MVP. Are you guys able to keep up with all of this? Because honestly, sometimes I have to pinch myself to believe what we're seeing. Caitlin Clark is really surprising me. Remember where we started this conversation? Clark came to the league as a rookie full of potential, but with a lot to prove. Now, she's dominating veterans and breaking records. But you know what's most exciting? This is just the beginning. Clark is still in her rookie season. Imagine what she can do with more experience, more chemistry with the team, more knowledge of the league. And it's not just about Clark. It's about how she's transforming the Indiana Fever from underdogs to potential playoff contenders, from a team that struggled to not finish last to one that now strikes fear into any opponent. But I want to hear from you. What do you think is the most impressive thing about Clark's journey so far? The insane numbers, the on-court leadership, or maybe how she's changing the perception of the WNBA as a whole? And think about this. If Clark is doing all this now, what can we expect in the playoffs? Are we about to see one of the most exciting runs in WNBA history? Maybe so. But one thing's for sure, Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever's success is putting a giant target on their backs. Every team in the league is now preparing specifically to stop Clark. Think about it. Scouts are analyzing her every move, every favorite play. Opposing coaches are spending sleepless nights developing strategies to contain this force of nature. And the league's veterans, they're not going to sit idly by watching a rookie steal their spotlight. And there's more. The pressure is only going to increase. Every game now is crucial in the playoff race. One slip up, one bad night, and all the hard work could go down the drain. How will Clark handle this growing pressure? Coach Christie's side still needs to fine-tune some tactical details. How will she maximize Clark's talent without overloading her? And the other Fever players, they need to keep evolving to keep up with Clark's pace. Finally, there's the question of the playoffs. Getting there would be quite an achievement, but what happens when they do? The intensity rises several levels, the margin for error is minimal. Clark may be incredible, but she's never experienced the pressure of a WNBA playoff series. The road ahead is exciting, but it's far from easy. The big question is, are Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever really ready for this challenge? Leave your comments down below, and if you enjoyed this video and want to stay up to date with everything happening in the WNBA, especially with Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way, you won't miss any detail of this season that promises to be historic. Thanks so much for watching until the end, and we'll see you in the next video.